Hey everyone, I just wanted to go through really quick with you the transaction wheel. This is a really good overview of how a transaction looks from the buyer's side, and it will tie in many of the things that you've learned during school, but don't necessarily know how it fits into the scope of a real estate transaction. So we're going to start out with the buyer right here. We're going to do our marketing. We pick up a buyer, and then we're going to send that buyer off to a lender. And the lender is going to pre-qualify them for either a FHA loan, VA loan, conventional loan, maybe even a USDA loan if it's rural. So after we get them pre-qualified, we'll know more about their financial situation and how we're going to structure the contract. After we get them pre-qualified and we know what they're looking for, we're going to send them to, we're going to set them up with an MLS search. And we're going to start sending them properties, discussing with them the properties that are coming up. And they're going to pick 2 or 3 properties and say, I'd like to see these. So then we're going to set appointments. We're going to call the listing agents or go through showing time, set appointments to go take a look at the properties. Then we head out. We're going to use our super key to get into houses, and we're going to show homes. After we show these homes, we're going to identify a property, and the property will be the next step after we identify the property is we have to go and figure out how well it's priced, kind of an estimated value. So we do a CMA, competitive market analysis, or sometimes called the BPO, broker's price opinion. And we're preparing to write the offer. We're doing a little due diligence up front. We're maybe getting an SPDS, seller's property disclosure statement, and the lead-based paint and the HOA information, and kind of preparing to write that offer. Then we're going to talk to the buyer about the negotiation strategy and how we want to, approach the negotiation of that property. We will then go into transaction desk and we will write the offer. And once we write the offer, we'll send it out for electronic signatures, collect all the signatures, and then we'll send it off to the other agent, and that's called presenting the offer. We're going to discuss all these things in detail, but I just wanted to give you a quick overhead view of how this all works. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to negotiate. With every contract, there's 3 options: accept, reject, or counter. We go back and forth a couple times. Maybe we've got a couple of counter offers in there, but then we finally end up with acceptance. And after we have acceptance, we're going to open escrow. After we open escrow, we're going to give that contract to the title company along with earnest money, and we're going to send a copy to the lender. We're going to send a copy to, so there's 7 different people that get a copy of this: buyer, seller, listing agent, buyer's agent, escrow company, lender, and SkySlope, which is our broker, our transaction management system. Everyone gets a copy of that. So it's going to 7 different places. The next step is to schedule inspections. And the first call is always to the roofer. You're going to call the roofer, set up a roof inspection. That's free in most circumstances. Then we're going to set up the general home inspection. And we're going to coordinate this with the listing agent. We're going to say, okay, set your general inspection. Roofers can go anytime. That's why they're flexible, but they're also the hardest ones to get to the property. The general home inspector, usually it's a 3-hour block to do a normal home inspection. And during that 3 hours, you'll have the other inspectors come in and do their specialized inspections. So you set the general home inspection. Let's say it's noon to 3 on a Tuesday. Then you call your termite company and say, hey, we want to get a wood report done. We're going to be there 12 to 3. They show up within that time period. Also, maybe the sewer scope. If you've got an electrician or HVAC guy coming, schedule them all within that time block if possible. So the next step is we're going to inspection day, and it's a busy day. That's a busy 3-hour period. And normally on inspection day, we take the SPDS, the clue report, and the buyer advisory with us. We can have some discussions during the home inspection with the buyers about their due diligence process, putting emphasis on the buyer advisory, because the buyer advisory is their guide to due diligence. We discuss the SPDS and things that we know about the property because the seller is telling us that. Also bring a copy of the SPDS for the home inspector. If there has been any claims against the property, insurance claims, might be a water claim or a roof claim for hail or who knows, but we check those claims, make sure they're on the SPDS, and make sure that they all make sense. The home inspector can do a little extra inspection in those areas that have been affected by, that we know of. So after we get the general inspection back, then we should now be in possession of a roof inspection, a general inspection, a wood inspection, maybe a sewer scope. The general inspector may recommend that the electrical panel might need some additional look from a licensed electrician, or maybe we've got a HVAC issue that we don't have enough temperature differential, and we need to have an HVAC guy look at that. Whenever you have someone go out to the property, get estimates, because you're going to present all estimates to the seller with your buyer's inspection notice seller's response, known as the BINSR. So after we get all of our inspections, we're going to write up a BINSR, and we're going to request repairs. We're going to then submit that BINSR to the buyer's agent, and we're going to give him copies of all the reports. In the contract, it clearly states all reports must be shared with the seller, okay? The seller will then have 5 days to respond to the BINSR, and the buyer will have 5 days to respond to the seller's response. After all this, we have BINSR acceptance. Everyone has agreed on repairs. And then we order appraisal. The appraiser goes out to the property, appraises the property. If all is well, it comes back to the underwriter. And the file is submitted. Sorry, the appraisal comes back to the loan officer. Loan officer then submits the entire file to underwriting. The underwriter comes back with approved with conditions. If it's approved with conditions, the conditions are satisfied, and then we go to final approval. After we get final approval, the loan goes to processing, and then from processing, it goes to docs. Docs are then sent to title. 3 days prior to the close of escrow, you're going to go do walkthrough, and you're going to check all of the repairs, and you're going to gather invoices, receipts for the repairs that were completed. After the walkthrough goes smoothly, we go to signing, and we go sign the documents at the title company, and then we record, and the buyer gets keys.